Welcome to iQuanta's YouTube channel dedicated to your success as a B School aspirant. My name is Vikrant. I am your personal coach for all things related to English communication skills and mental aspects of preparation. And this is a special series that I have started for you where you get to work on 100 passages with a 100 percentiler. And this is the third passage in the series, as you can see right behind me. Right, so let's go ahead and dive into it. The pattern is going to be very simple. I will take you through a passage along with the questions in its entirety where you go ahead and solve it all by yourself, and then you and I come back together and discuss it within this particular session. So wherever I say pause, don't forget to pause the video so that you can move over to the next session. And before I start, something really important. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to press the subscribe button and then the bell icon as well, so that whenever I upload a video, you are the first one to know. So let's go ahead, let's get started. Here is the first part. So pause, read, next, 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 next. Pause, keep pausing and reading. Next, next, and that basically ends the passage for you. And starting with the questions, here is the first one on your screen. Why don't you pause and read? Next. So once again, pause the video right here, answer this question and then come back. Okay, taking you over to the next question. Pause, solve it and then we'll come back. Okay, next. Alright, so that takes care of the passage for you. You have gone through the passage, you've answered the questions. Now let us read the passage together so that you can understand it thoroughly, and after that we will dive into the questions. So let's start here. Many human phenomena and characteristics such as behaviors, beliefs, economies, genes, incomes, life expectancy and other things. So basically this entire part is an elaboration of, so this entire part is nothing but an elaboration of the many factors or human phenomena and characteristics that are talked about here. So we're seeing all these things are influenced both by geographic factors and by non-geographic factors. Now geographic factors mean physical and biological factors, so they're including biology in geography here. That's interesting. And these are factors that are tied to geographic location, including climate, distribution of wild plant and animal species, soils and topography. Topography is the surface features of the earth, so there are places where you have mountains, there are places that are plains, there are places with lakes, and there are places which are arid, so on and so forth. So the author says that, okay, these are the factors that influence human phenomena and characteristics. So you notice there are certain locations where humans are shorter, certain locations where they are taller, etc. Okay, the non-geographic factors include those factors subsumed under the term culture. Now, when you subsume something under something, then it means that you include it under something which is bigger. Another way of describing subsume can be that you treat it as a subset of a larger set. So the non-geographic factors can be subsumed under the term culture. Simply put, Non-geographic factors are cultural factors, historical factors, and decisions taken by individual people. So that's your paragraph 1. Next, the difference between the current economies of North and South Korea cannot be attributed to the modest environmental differences between them. So basically, North and South Korea happen to have very similar geography. The differences there are because of government policies. So you can call it what, cultural factors. At the opposite extreme, Inuit and other traditional people living north of the Arctic Circle developed warm fur clothes but no agriculture. So Inuits are people who live in the Arctic region, or at times even in some of the subarctic areas like Greenland, Labrador, etc. So they developed warm fur clothes but no agriculture. Why? Now think of it. Isn't it geography? You have the entire land is covered by snow. How would you really grow something? But then it is extremely cold, so you create warm fur clothes. While equatorial lowland people, lowland are lands which are at the sea level or just above sea level, not very high, not significantly higher than the sea level. So they never developed warm fur clothes, but often did develop agriculture. Once again, geography. So the explanation is straightforward geographic rather than a cultural or historic quirk unrelated to geography. Then the next example, Aboriginal Australia. Aboriginals are the original inhabitants of a place before a mass inflow of people or before colonization. So when we say Aboriginal Australia, we're talking about Australia when it had its original inhabitants before it got conquered and colonized. So that remained the sole continent occupied only by hunter-gatherers and with no indigenous farming or herding. Okay, so they did not have a tradition of farming or herding. Here the explanation is biogeographic. The Australian continent has no domesticable native animal species. Now, of course, kangaroos, koalas, even if you domesticate them, what would you do with koalas? They're pretty cute though. And few domesticable native plant species. Instead, the crops and domestic animals that now make Australia a food and wool exporter are all non-native species such as sheep, wheat and grapes brought to Australia by overseas colonists. Okay, then the next, the difference between the current economies of North and South Korea. Okay, we've already looked at this, so hang on. Today, no scholar would be silly enough to deny that culture, history and individual choices play a big role in many human phenomena. Okay, so saying that, okay, today there is nobody who denies that culture, history and individual choices play a big role. Scholars do not react to cultural, historical and individual agent explanations by denouncing cultural determinism, historical determinism or individual determinism. See, so basically determinism is where you in a way say that something is predetermined. You don't have that control, something else controls it. So cultural determinism is that your behavior and your outlook, your perspective is determined solely by your culture. Historical determinism says determined by the history. Individual determinism says it is determined by the individual and the other factors do not play a role. So here they are using determinism as a derogatory word where they say that, hey, cultural, historical, individual they no longer reject culture influencing people by saying, hey, no, this is not right, this is cultural determinism, we don't buy this. But many scholars do react to any explanation invoking some geographical role by denouncing geographic determinism. So in essence, people accept, scholars accept that culture, history and individual choice play a big role in many human phenomena. At the same time, they do not accept that geography plays a big role in human phenomena. Okay, several reasons may underlie this widespread but nonsensical view that geography does not play a role. One reason is that some geographic explanations advanced a century ago were racist. People belonging to a particular part of the earth may have been considered inferior. And therefore causing all geographic explanation to become tainted by racist associations in the minds of many scholars other than geographers. So in the past, if those explanations were racist, you'd probably be wary of them. You'd probably be cautious of them. Remember, Hitler used something called eugenics to claim that certain specific categories of individuals are inferior. And ever since then, scientists rarely talk about eugenics. They rarely at least use this term eugenics. It took almost 50, 60, 70 years to recover where we can at least start talking about those ideas again. But in terms of geography, that hasn't happened according to the author. Scholars reject them because they are tainted by racism. And then the author goes on to say, but many genetic, historical, psychological, and anthropological explanations were also racist. Yet, now that there are new non-racist explanations, they have accepted them. So the question in a way raised here is that why don't they accept geography despite its racist past when you have accepted all these other things despite their racist past? Then next, another reason for reflex rejection. Reflex rejection is when you're not even thinking, you automatically reject geographic explanations, is that historians have a tradition in their discipline of stressing the role of contingency based on individual decisions and chance. So here, contingency basically means dependence. So they're saying that human phenomena depends on individual decisions and chance. Often that view is warranted. It's true that yes, individual decisions and chance play a role, but often too that view is unwarranted. The development of warm fur clothes among the Inuit living north of the Arctic Circle was not because one influential Inuit leader persuaded other Inuits in 1783 to adopt warm firm clothes for no good environmental reason. So saying that, see, if you look at this particular example, it is not because of individual decision that people started wearing warm fur clothes. It was the geographical factors. The place was cold. And then a third reason is that geographic explanations usually depend on detailed technical facts of geography and other fields of scholarship. Most historians and economists do not acquire that detailed knowledge as part of the professional training. So yeah, this can be another one of those factors. So 3 reasons given, and with that we have questions. So first one, all of the following can be inferred from the passage except, so option A, agricultural practices changed drastically in the Australian continent after it was colonized. Let me take you to the relevant part. Check this here. So look at this second paragraph where they're talking about all these non-native species were brought in for it. So on the basis of this, I can say that option A is definitely true. Then let's have a look at B. Individual diktat and contingency were not the causal factors for the use of fur clothing in some very cold climates. Yes, we can make this claim about the Arctic from the 5th paragraph, where it was not one person who convinced, it was the environmental factors, and therefore even B is true. Then C, while most human phenomena result from culture and individual choice, some have biogeographic origins. So this part, some have biogeographic origin, is true, but then most human phenomena result from culture and individual choice is something that we cannot determine on the basis of the passage. So that is can't say. D, several academic studies of human phenomena in the past involved racist interpretations. Absolutely yes. Check this out, 4th paragraph. And then even the rest of the paragraph tells you that even the other areas, anthropology, genetics, etc., we had racist explanations. So D is also true on the basis of the 4th paragraph. Now look at the question. All of the following can be inferred except, it means that 3 of these are true, 1 of these is not true, and the one which is not true is supposed to be our answer. So which one of these is not true? Option C, and therefore C should be your answer. Let's dive into our next question now. All of the following are advanced by the author as reasons why non-geographers disregard geographic influences on human phenomena except there. So there are 3 things referred or 3 things used by the author here. So what are those 3 things? What are those 3 things mentioned? So if you look at the last 3 reasons, then the last 3 paragraphs, you would notice that they talk about Historians have a tradition where they look at individual agency, then racist association, and then little understanding of geography. As a discipline, they don't really study it. So if I look at the options now, option A, dismissal of explanations that involve geographic causes for human behavior. This is the outcome. Why do they do that? The question is, 3 of these are cited by author as reasons. So they do that, we know. A just says that they do that. Why is not something that A answers, but B, belief in the central role of humans unrelated to physical surroundings in influencing phenomena. Yes, that is mentioned. Human agency. C, lingering impression of past geographic analysis that were politically offensive. That is racist. So yes, that is mentioned. Disciplinary training which typically does not include technical knowledge of, yes, that is mentioned in the last paragraph. So if you look at B, C and D, they are mentioned in the last 3 paragraphs. A is not mentioned anywhere as a reason for their dismissal. A just says they dismiss it, but why is not even talked about in A, and therefore our answer to this question must be option A. Let me take you over to the next question now. The examples of the Inuit and Aboriginal Australians are offered in the passage to show what? So we know that every example is supposed to illustrate a point, to prove a point, illustrate or prove a point. So where are these mentioned? These guys are mentioned in the second paragraph. So at the beginning we have North and South Korea, which has non-geographic factors, and then Inuits and Aboriginal Australians have been mentioned to prove the point that the geographical factors can determine the behavior or the human phenomena. So which one of these talks about geographic factors? How environmental factors lead to comparatively divergent paths in livelihood and development. So this tells us geography dictates it, but it does not help us prove this part about divergent. Right? It talks about environmental factors, yes. A does talk about it, but then it does not talk about divergent. It does not talk about livelihood specifically, you know, that they go ahead and take up different type of occupations, etc. So that's where there is a problem. Okay, B, human resourcefulness across cultures in adapting to the surrounding. It's not about human resourcefulness, it's about the geography affecting them, not the humans affecting themselves. How physical circumstances can dictate human behavior and culture. Yes. D, that despite geographical isolation, traditional societies were self-sufficient. But this idea was not to compare that despite isolation they were self-sufficient and adaptive. They were given to prove the point that geography plays a role in shaping human phenomena and societies. So C comes closest to that and should therefore be our answer. And here is your next question. The author criticizes scholars who are not geographers for all of the following reasons except. So I think once again we'd have to go back into the information provided in the last 3 paragraphs. So let's start with A. Their rejection of the role of biogeographic factors in social and cultural phenomena. Are they criticized because of this? Yes. Here is the relevant part from the 3rd paragraph. Look at it. So A is cited as a reason. We are looking for something that is not cited as a reason. Notice this except. So A can be ruled out. Okay, how about B? Their outdated interpretations of past cultural and historical phenomena. Outdated interpretations have not been mentioned anywhere in the passage. So let us see. C, their labeling of geographic explanations as deterministic. Once again, the exact same part that we've just had a look at. So yes, we can. So C is also mentioned. You can rule it out. So A and C both can be ruled out on the basis of the information given to us in the third paragraph right above. Then if we look at the next one, D, the importance they place on the role of individual decisions when studying human phenomena. Yes, that's something that is presented in the 5th paragraph. Notice this last part. stressing the role of contingency based on individual decisions and chance. So even D is mentioned, so we can rule out D. So A, C and D are all mentioned, B is not mentioned. So A, C and D are criticisms, B is not mentioned, therefore it is not a criticism that the author has for them, and that makes B the right answer choice, and that takes care of this particular passage. But before I leave you, here is something for you to ponder over and think. Either you run the day or the day runs you. So what's happening? Take charge, take control of your day, and make sure that you run it according to your goals, according to your desires. And one of the things that you can do right now to move closer to that is subscribing to this channel and pressing the bell icon. And if you like working with me, do give it a like, yeah. Do show that love so that I am also motivated to bring in more and more things for you. So that's it from me in this particular session. I'll see you in the next one with another passage handpicked for you so that you can grow. Until then, stay safe, stay focused, stay in touch. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.